Hello and welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be going over the situation in Gaza because there's been a lot of strikes there that have just started, and a lot of rumors about a new war that's about to break out. So I wanted to just give some context and talk about the news as of now. And right now in Israel and the West Bank, it's 5:52 p.m. So a lot of stuff might change by the time I upload this in like 20 minutes. But yeah, I just want to give some information to all of you who might not be as informed about the situation in Israel and the West Bank and Gaza. So I'm going to talk about what happened. So since the beginning of like the end of 2021, 2022, there have been like sporadic clashes along the West Bank with like very minor rocket fire, only from the PIJ, which is the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and they don't actually control Gaza. They're one of the like splinter groups that is the second most powerful group in Gaza, but Hamas is the most powerful. And sometimes PIJ and Hamas collaborate, sometimes they don't. But really, Hamas, they can really control what PIJ does because they're in control of the strip itself. So basically, what happened was on Monday this week, there were clashes between the IDF and the West Bank branch of the PIJ, which is called Katibat Jenin. And PIJ is mainly in the West Bank, as I said, but um, they do have some presence in the West Bank, which has been occurring. They've been gaining prominence in the West Bank over the past few years, and so has Hamas because of the inept leadership of the Palestinian Authority, which is led by this other group called Fatah, which is the group which is in charge of the um, the Palestinian parts of the West Bank. So basically, IDF, they've been raiding these compounds, arresting a lot of militants from the PIJ and from Hamas as well over the past few years, and they always go in for these raids to like destroy these cells. So on Monday that was just a regular thing. Like it's sort of expected by now for um, IDF to raid cities like Hebron, Bethlehem, Jericho, Ramallah, Nablus, and Jenin especially. So on Monday there were clashes between the IDF and Katibat Jenin, as I said, and one person from the PIJ was killed. His name was Darar Al Kafrini. So that sort of escalated the tensions, but it really reached a breaking point the next day when the leader of Katibat Jenin, Bassam al-Sadi, he was actually arrested by Shabak, which is the internal intelligence agency of Israel. And in addition to Sadi, his closest aide, Ashraf al-Jada, was also arrested. So that sort of like caused PIJ to threaten terror attacks on Israel. They mobilized their forces in the West Bank and in Gaza over the past 4 days. And then Israel, they showed photos of Saudi just to show that he was in good health. That didn't really change anything. Um, Israel, in anticipation of rocket fire and mortars and like anti-tank missiles, stuff like that, they closed all the roads adjacent to Gaza on Tuesday. And then, in response to these threats, because there wasn't a resolution that PIJ and Israel could agree on, and at least according to the government of Israel, with like Benny Gantz, the defense minister, and Yair Lapid, the prime minister, they sort of agreed that they had to like launch this operation to sort of put PIJ in its place. Gantz, he said that he wouldn't like get pushed around by PIJ, so they launched Operation Breaking Dawn like an hour ago, and it started off with some strikes on major points in Gaza, and specifically in Rafah and Khan Yunis. So I'm going to go through all the strikes there. I don't have geolocations just yet, but I'm sure that very soon people will geolocate where these strikes actually happened because I have footage of it that I want to show. And the first one was on a tower building, and I'm pretty sure the tower building was in Khan Yunis. So Khan Yunis is this big city; it's huge. Gaza is one of the most densely populated places in the world. So you had this tower, seemed like a residential tower. It was struck. We don't really know the reason why just yet, but I'm sure we'll find out. Another place that was struck was a vehicle in Rafah, and it was driving through Rafah, and then also an observation post along the border was struck. I don't exactly know where it was, but I do know that it was around here in the like a like a border, the southern border area in Rafah. So the people that were actually targeted in the strike, um, the first guy, the main guy, was Taisir Al Jabari, and he is the head of the northern wing of the PIJ, like military organization. So he's a very prominent member of the PIJ. He's like a top brass. He is one of the guys in the line of succession. If something happened to the leader Zawahiri, so it is a very big deal that he got killed, and he was actually killed in his car while he was departing from an interview on TV, where he was sort of like uh, laughing at his ability to deter Israel from responding. So that's sort of ironic. Now, in addition to that, I heard reports of there's a guy called Bilal Nimir Abu Amshah getting killed, but I can't confirm this. He's a senior commander in the PIJ military wing, but I don't actually know if he's dead. I want to show a photo of Jabari. He is over here, and yeah, so that's the guy who got killed. He was the main target, but there were some other targets as well. So in the IDF statement, they said that they killed 15 to 20 PIJ operatives, and they also within those casualties, some of them were actually from two squads that were driving on their way to launch anti-tank missiles across the border fence into Israel. And the last time that there were anti-tank missiles fired into Israel, an Israeli troop actually got killed, and that was in the last war. So they are effective at least eliminating some Israeli soldiers. And the commander of the anti-tank formation was also killed. His name was Abdullah Kadim, and that was around Rafah as well. I was talking about. So basically, you have Israel striking into Gaza, and there were a lot of casualties, especially in the building around in Khan Yunis. So I am very interested to see why they chose that area specifically, because the general that was targeted, he wasn't in that area. So I'm sort of wondering what was in that residential building. So the Gaza Health Ministry, they say that in the strikes in total there are 7 dead. First it was 2 dead, then 4 dead, then 6, and right before I started recording, they said 7, and they said 40 wounded, and one of the deaths was a 5-year-old girl, which is tragic. And there's a lot of gruesome footage. I don't want to show it on here, but if you wanted to, you could look for it. In response to all of this, I do expect some retaliation. I don't know if it will be from Hamas, probably just from PIJ, because this has happened before. In 2018, it happened. In 2019, there were clashes in November. I remember, and of course, you had the clashes in 2021. Israel is already preparing their Iron Dome batteries in the center of Israel, which is called Gush Dan. So in cities like Tel Aviv and Rishon LeZion, Netanya, these sort of areas, Ashdod, uh, which is a major city, Ashkelon, these areas get struck a lot in these conflicts. Even in Jerusalem, there was Iron Dome batteries deployed, and then the main settlements that get struck are the border communities. So like Kerem Shalom, Shkol, Nahal Oz, Sderot. Those are the ones that come to mind for me from previous experience. Also Netivot, that's a big one. So you will see a lot of Iron Dome deployments here. Now they're going to send like a lot of battalions to this area, uh, just to like guard the border fence to make sure there won't be any infiltrations from the PIJ, because they did say that they want to commit terror attacks in uh, the Israel proper. I'm going to read a statement from them here. So this is from the PIJ. The enemy started a war against our people, and we all have a duty to defend ourselves and our people and not allow the enemy to endorse his policies aimed at undermining resistance and national steadfastness. And PIJ leader Ziad al-Nahla, he said, "We are going to war, and we ask God for success." So, yeah, they have clearly said that this will escalate. And in response to those threats, and in the anticipation of rocket strikes, Israel has basically issued this restriction on gatherings in areas in like an 80-kilometer radius of Gaza. So that includes like big cities like Ashdod. I don't know if it includes Beersheba, but that's another big city. And yeah, so that's one precaution they're taking. But there are some other precautions that I'm sure they'll be taking, just like for forcing residents in the Gaza envelope, which is the border community area, to sort of stay near bomb shelters. That's another thing that they're doing now. And just to make sure that it doesn't escalate too far, Israel did inform Egypt that their strikes will only target PIJ. So that's the good news out of this, that there won't be, in all likelihood, it won't escalate to a point where Hamas gets involved, and then you would see a level of destruction akin to what happened in 2021. So I'd say this conflict is going to be more like the 2019 conflict, which was like it lasted for a few days and then there was a resolution. But yeah, I'll update this if there's any more news. If there's like a geolocation or anything, then I want to add like markers to the map to actually show where it happened. Uh, Sort of like I do for the Russia Ukraine war. I also want to like do Google Map stuff for Gaza. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you later.